Welcome back to vijAI. Today we'll be using the Gemini API in Python. In the previous video, we used the Google AI Studio. If you haven't seen that video, please click in the I button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. So let's get started. So first of all, before using the Gemini API, before going through any of this code, first of all, you need to go to your Google AI Studio and get your API key. Whenever we are working with APIs, we need to have an API key, right? You can get yourself an API key by logging into the Google AI Studio and clicking on this get API key option, and then you'll be able to create your API key, and then you will just copy it. So I've created my API key, right? Now what you have to do, you may be seeing this key right here. Okay, so just click here, and then you will click on add new secret key, and then you just name it API key, and you paste the API key here, right? It will not be visible, right? And protect it like your password. Now let us go through the code. So first of all, you will install the Python package Google Generative AI for using the Gemini API, right? So just click on this pip install, right? And it will take some moments to install. I have already installed it, right? Then we are importing some of the essential libraries which we'll be using today. First of all, it is text wrap. Okay, I'll tell you what all they are. And then it is Google Generative AI as Gen AI. Then you import from google.colab user data. All right, this will be a very useful library here. Then from ipython.display, import display. From ipython.display, you are importing Markdown, right? We'll see all their uses and how they work, right? Some of these libraries may be new for you. Now, first of all, we need to get our API key and store it inside a variable, right? So for that, what you will do is you'll write user data dot get API key. Now, the name of this secret key that you would have created will be API key. Okay, keep this API key only and write here the same name which you write here. Okay, because when you use user data, right, you are trying to access this secret key which you created over here. Okay, so this user data has been specifically designed for accessing data in Google Colab, right? So that you can access it inside Python, right? It will work only in Google Colab, not in Jupyter Notebook, right? So to access this key, you need to import user data, right? And then you're going to write genai.configure API key equal to API key, right? Just do that. Now let us see what all models we are having in this generative AI package, right? It provides us basically a lot of AI models. Okay, two of which are Gemini Pro and Gemini Pro Vision. So for printing this, what we will do, we'll write for M in Gen AI.list models, print M. If you just write here Gen AI.list models, you can see, okay, let me run my code. It's basically a generator object. So if you have to print it, you need to loop over it. So I'm using for loop for M in Gen AI.list models, print M. So it will basically print all the models we are having in this generative AI package, right? So if you see here, we are having this model called Palm to Chat, right, by Google, which we can access using this Gen AI package. We are also having Palm to Legacy, another model, then embedding Gecko, right, and then our Gemini Pro, which we're going to use, and Gemini Pro Vision. Right, in this video, we'll only be using Gemini Pro. Gemini Pro Vision we'll use in the next video, right? Okay. We are also having embedding 001. This was only to show you that we are having a lot of models in this Gen AI package, right? Now, if you remember from the previous video where we used Gemini Pro Vision in Google AI Studio, we were having some settings like top P, top K, temperature, input token limit, right? Some settings we were having which we could control. So we are also having these here also, right? Okay, so give it a look. Now we will select our Gemini Pro model because we are working with Gemini Pro. So you write Gen AI dot generative model and then the model you want to select. We are selecting at the moment Gemini Pro. Right now, to generate responses, to give prompts to Gemini Pro, you will write model.generate content. Right? This method will give you responses, and then you simply give the prompt you want to give. Right? Just like you gave it in Google AI Studio, you give it in Bard, you give it in ChatGPT. Same you're going to do here, right? And then we are storing it inside a response, right? Now, if you just try to print response, let us see what we get. Okay. So see, you are getting something like this, Google.generative AI.types.generation.types. So we're not getting the response actually, the output from Gemini Pro, right? So to get that, what you're going to write, you will write response.text, right? And then it will give you the response. See, but if you see, the output is still not very clear. Okay, we have got the output, right? It's saying title, unveiling the power of generative AI, then introduction, but it's not very much clear. It is using some escape sequences over here, right? But so let us try to use it inside the print function and maybe we could get some better output. So now when I write it inside response, okay, inside print function, we are getting something like this, which is pretty readable now. But if you carefully observe the output, we write in a similar fashion when we are writing in markdowns, right? Let me show you. This is a markdown that I have created over here. If I need to create some bold text, what I will write, I will give double stars and then I will write title and then again double stars. And now it will come in a bold style, right? So maybe it is that Gemini Pro is giving us the output to display it in the form of a markdown, right? So let us try to do that, right? We can do that. And that is why we had imported these all libraries, if you see. We had imported text wrap, okay? We had imported display from inPython.display, right? And we had imported markdown also. Now what I have done, I have defined a function to display the response in the form of a markdown. And the function is toMarkdown, which takes the response in the text variable. And then we are returning simply markdown text wrap.indent text, and this function is over here. You may not understand it, but let's just write it and see whether it modifies the response or not, right? Now, if I check the response, see, I was right. Gemini wanted to give the output in the form of a markdown, and now you can see it is very clear and it looks appealing, right? Okay, but now let us break down this markdown function and this text wrap.indent method. So guys, this text wrap module provides us methods to format plain text to make it more aesthetically pleasing, right? So this module is having a lot of methods and we are going to use the indent method. What does this indent method do? It will provide a prefix at the beginning of each line, right? If you're having a string, a multi-line string maybe, then it will provide a prefix at the beginning of each line, right? Let us see the syntax. The syntax is text wrap.indent text, the string that you want to format, then the prefix, and then the predicate. Okay, the prefix which you want to give at the beginning of each line, and there's also the predicate. We'll see what it does. So here I've written a simple line, hello world /n, subscribe to vijAI. And then I've given the prefix equal to star. And now when you see the output, what you can see is we are getting hello world Okay, this is the first line. And in the next line also, we are getting a star and then subscribe to vijAI. So basically, if I store this in a variable x and then I try to print x, you can see, okay, we need to write it inside the print function. In the first line, I get a star, and in the next line also, I'm getting a star, right? So the prefix has been added. Okay, so then what about the predicate? Now, if I give here again a slash n, what will come in the output? Hello world, star space hello world. Okay, and then star hello world, and then a line was left, okay, because I gave slash n space slash n, and then it gave star subscribe to which AI. But you must have expected that the second line would also begin with star, right? Because I said that the prefix will be provided at the beginning of each line. But that is not so here, guys. A prefix will only be provided in that line in which there are some characters, some text, okay? Not only white spaces. Okay, if a line is only having white spaces, then it will not give the prefix. Now, if you want to give the prefix, then you will use the predicate argument, predicate parameter, right? Now I will write a predicate equal to lambda and I'll write here true. So this will make it true for each and every line. And now you can see star is also printed in the second line, right? So we had written this in our method also, text wrap dot indent text, and we had written something like this and predicate lambda equal to true. So we were giving this prefix for each line. That is why we have done lambda true. By default, it is not true. Okay. Now we also wrote the markdown method. Okay, I will just copy it and write it here. We had also written the markdown method, markdown function. Okay, and now let us see what do we get in the output. Okay, so we are getting something like this. Okay, which is the markdown output for this string, right? If you had you written this output inside a markdown, you get the same thing, right? So this function basically converts a string into a markdown format, right? Okay, now let me give here the prefix as something like greater than and space, and let me see what comes. See, this is what happens when you give greater than and space. I think I need not to say anything because you can interpret yourself, right? And that is why we are using this prefix greater than space. It is giving this form of an indent here, right? And when we use it here, we are getting this space, this indent over here, right? So I think now this may be clear. When we pass response.text to this function, it performs the same thing as we had done in our example of hello world, right? So this is how you can use Gemini Pro for writing text prompts. And see, it has given a very beautiful blog unveiling the power of generative AI, understanding Gen AI. It is basically a Gen AI only, right? Now, in the next video, we'll be using the Gemini Pro Vision model. We'll also try to stream our outputs, okay? Right? This was a basic video to introduce you to this Gemini API. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon.